I'm Councilman Tony Brancatelli, Chairman of the Development Planning Sustainability Committee. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Brancatelli.
Here.
Cleveland. Griffin. Hairston.
Here.
Bashir Jones. Slife.
Present.
McCormick. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. The Development Planning Sustainability Committee hearing is being held during the COVID-19 emergency declaration in accordance with Ohio's open meeting laws as amended by Sub-H Bill 197. This meeting is being held using the Zoom platform and is being live streamed on the YouTube and on Cleveland's Channel 20. It can also be seen on Cleveland City Council website and from Council's Facebook page. In accordance with Ohio open meeting regulations as amended by Sub-HB 197, notice of this committee hearing was publicly posted. The committee hearing will be conducted as all committee hearings in accordance with the council rules of Robert's Rules of Order, and the chair will facilitate the meeting and will call on persons to speak. If you wish to speak, please use the raise your hand option on Zoom, and please limit your comments to the matters before today's committee. As is the usual practice, any action to be voted on during the committee will be done by voice vote, called and recorded by the committee clerk. We have two planning pieces on today and zoning pieces. The first ordinance, number 563, 2020 by Councilmember Zone, changing the use, area, and height districts of parcels of land south of Cleveland Memorial Shoreway between West 78th and West 70th Street, map change 2609. Is Shannon, this is your piece?
Yes, I'll do this one and the next one.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Do they have my presentations or do I just need to share my screen?
We'll allow you to share your screen just so we can control the.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Try it now.
There we go.
All right. All right. So this is a rezoning that started well back in January, February. We had a community meeting. Like Councilman Zone had stated previously, before Planning Commission, and then COVID happened. So this is, some of the neighbors may have forgot, but it was a pretty good turnout at the public meeting that we had back when we were allowed to have meetings in public. So next, all right. So basically the purpose of this is to remove some of the legacy industrial zoning designations and align more with the citywide 2020 plan, to consolidate basically a hodgepodge of zoning districts in this area, ranging from general industry to some retail, as well as to ensure any future development is infill housing. So the real purpose was to make sure that West 73rd was more residential, and the side streets off of Detroit stayed residential, whereas Detroit stayed the spine of the neighborhood, the more retail commercial corridor, and to preserve some of the pocket green spaces within the neighborhood. So this is the area that we are focusing on rezoning. As you can see, it's a mix of two-family, multifamily, a little bit of retail, and some legacy industrial districts. And this is the proposal. I'm going to walk you through each section. So the first section are the sections in green on the lower left-hand side of your screen. And essentially we are proposing open space and recreation. These are current parcels that are currently being used as community gardens. And we really just want our neighbors to be able to have some green space within their neighborhood. The second section here in yellow on West 70th Street, all we're doing is changing the area. So currently it is two-family residential. It's going to maintain two-family residential. We're just upping the area for the lot sizes to allow the infill housing, increase the area to fit today's demand and cost for building. Again, this is another section. It's currently zoned semi-industry. And so the proposal is to change it also to two-family D1. This is really because this is within 200 feet of a general industry district. So any type of refinancing, buying or purchasing outside of just cash, they would not be able to finance because of our non-conforming clause in the zoning code. And it causes a lot of issues. So we really just want to bring this area in line with what its current land uses are. The second section here is residence industry. This has been residence industry for quite some time, and really we just want to change it to multifamily residential G1. And this is to align more with some of the neighborhood desires to make sure that infill housing is infill housing and not any type of industrial or commercial use along West 73rd. The second section is multifamily G2. Again, this is to bring it in line with the current land uses. It's also to bring the height district down from 115 feet to match the local retail district along Detroit. This addresses a lot of neighborhood concerns about their view towards the lake. And so we really just wanted to bring the height down here. And then the last section here is the local retail K2 we're proposing. This is a current funeral home. It's semi-industry. And so we're just proposing to bring it down to local retail. And that's really to match the current land use along Detroit and allowing the current business to continue, but it'll also provide a buffer for our residential uses along West 73rd. And the last section is the urban form overlay, just adding this urban form overlay along West 73rd. And that's really just to make sure any new development matches the current setback along West 73rd and to create a high degree of walkability and make it pedestrian friendly, since it's a major corridor down to the lake and a lot of people bike and walk along these streets. And so that is the proposal for map change 2609. Again, it's to really maintain the residential nature of our side streets, but also reinforcing the commercial corridor along Detroit. Any questions?
Great, thank you. This is the public portion. Madam Clerk, did we get any responses back when this was sent out?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we received a request for information from a Mr. Casey.
And was that sent out and did we get a response?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, can you please be sure that that gets sent out?
Yes.
Thank you. I will open this up then to my colleagues. Councilman Zone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, honorable colleagues, for hearing this matter this morning. As Shannon mentioned, this has been a long planning process. I want to just go over the chronology of the planning process. We really began this in 2015 when we updated the Gordon Square Arts District Master Plan. And then in 2016, that plan was approved by the Planning Commission, which included having this part of the neighborhood to transition to residential housing. In 2019, in the fall, we started form-based zoning exercise. And although it was mainly concentrated along Detroit Avenue, we were seeking and soliciting feedback on the zoning change that we wanted to implement north of Detroit, and receive dozens of community feedback. And then in March of this year, 2020, just before really the shutdown of the pandemic, there was a large community meeting held, as Ms. Beatty said, and overwhelming consensus in the room to support this recommended zoning change. It's supported by the Edgewater Hill Block Club, the Detroit Shore Community Development Organization, obviously my office. Mr. Chairman, I do just want to acknowledge the exemplary work of the Planning Commission, the planning staff, Shannon Beatty and Adam Davenport, who really went out of their way and met with people and answered questions. And but for the pandemic, we would have done this 6 months ago. So I'm thankful that we're here now and ask my colleagues to support this request.
Thank you, Councilman, and certainly thank you for your ongoing due diligence through your planning process. I know this has changed quite a bit over time and really catching up to what the community desires are. Questions from my colleague? I don't see any hands raised at this time. Any questions or comments? No questions or comments. Ordinance 563, 2020 without objection passes. Thank you very much. Next piece we have is ordinance 600-2020 by Councilmember Slife, replacing a 25-foot specific map setback from the property line with a 7-foot specific map setback from the property line along the eastern side of Rocky River Drive between Sedalia Avenue and Melgrave Avenue, map change 2612. Shannon?
Thank you, Councilman Shannon Leonard, City Planning. Can you see my screen still?
You have to pop it back up again. There we go.
Got it now? Okay. Also, thank you, Councilman Zone, for your kind words on the last presentation. So this rezoning here is pretty simple. Sorry. There we go. The purpose of it really is it's just one block, and it's to replace a 25 specific map setback with a 7-foot specific map setback from the property line between Melgrave and Sedalia. And really this is to ensure that the new proposed development is located where proposed as directed by the Design Review Committee. Also take note, Rocky River is a pretty long corridor, as most of you know, and setbacks range anywhere from 75 feet from the center line all the way down to 5 feet from the property line. It kind of just changes all the way down Rocky River. And part of this proposal was we met with Councilman Slife and also Adam Davenport, the neighborhood planner for this area, and the CDC, understanding that, you know, right now we are really just focusing on one block, but the long-term and long-range plan for this is to do some type of study along Rocky River to bring in the setbacks and to kind of look at that overall as an overall picture, as well as the different uses along Rocky River. It ranges from residential to commercial and so forth. And so this was really just to address the West Park Animal Hospital that I believe is going at this location. And right now, because of the 25 specific foot map setback, if we do not remove it and replace it with something, the building would not be able to be built the way that it was designed, with the idea of walkability and being pedestrian friendly and maximizing public safety. Sorry. So in this map here that you can see on the screen, the yellow is the 25 foot from the property line specific map setback that is currently existing. That is, we are proposing to remove that and replace it with a 7-foot specific map setback from the property line. So that is a minimum. So they can go all the way up to 7 feet or sit back further if they would like to. However, so this is the currently existing conditions. Those two buildings there are going to be demolished. You also notice along Sedalia, there is a house, that first house there is also vacant and has been tied up in some type of foreclosure process. So the next slide that I'm going to show you is where the new proposed building is scheduled to be set. Oh, did it go? Anyhow, so the I believe I'm missing a slide and oh, it's on the next one. I apologize. So we're proposing to remove the 25 feet from this. I'm not really sure why this got messed up. The proposal here is the animal hospital. It's a 2-story animal hospital that will sit back. I believe it's about 10 or 11 feet so that the proposal here, the 7 feet, will allow that. And again, that first house along Sedalia is, there's nobody there. The doctor, I believe, I think Councilman Slife will be able to kind of talk more about it. The owner is hoping to buy that in the future. I just know that it's up in some type of lien and tax foreclosure issues. Also, the building at the animal hospital will be in line with the building south along Sedalia and Rocky River as well. Oh. So that is the proposal. Remove the 25-foot property line setback and replace it with a 7-foot setback. And again, this is just for now, this is a temporary fix to allow the animal hospital to demolish these older buildings and to be replaced with a newer building. And then down the road, look at the rest of the setbacks along Rocky River.
Great. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, this is the public portion. Did we get any comments, written or oral, regarding the mailing that was sent out for this?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We'll close the public portion. Open this up to Councilman Slife.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yes, we have had discussions with the neighbors about, you know, not just this legislation, but the entirety of the development. And most of the questions or concerns people had were related more to like traffic flow on the side streets and not specifically to the proposed development. Ms. Leonard had, noted that, the zoning on this stretch of Rock River Drive is a little chaotic, and unfortunately, when people get south of Lorraine Avenue, they have a tendency to go a little faster in their car than I'd prefer. So, one of the things, not only am I excited to see this development move forward, the West Park Animal Hospital is knocking it out of the park, but I also think there's a lot of value in starting to think about how buildings could be just a little closer to the street and to help kind of calm traffic. There's formally in the picture you're seeing here, the building to the south has actually been demolished, and where we're proposing the new building is not that far off, from what you see on the map. So really, there are no issues about turning onto the street or anything. Just all in all, it's a pretty easy piece in my opinion, and I'm fully supportive of it.
Great. This is going to be a wonderful development once it all gets put together. Is there a timing on this, Councilman?
So this was actually flagged when they went to the Board of Zoning Appeals a couple weeks ago, and we realized kind of the last minute that the board wouldn't be able to grant the variance for the setback. So they are just slightly behind in where they were hoping to be, but are eager to break ground as soon as possible. The plan is essentially to construct a new building, and then once the new building's constructed, the old building will be demolished and converted into the parking lot. So it'll be a little, it could be a little hectic there with parking, and we're talking to everyone about, there's some satellite lots and trying to minimize parking on the side street. But it should be happening in pretty short order.
Great. I just want to make sure I don't lose the traffic flow when I leave the PJ McIntyre's and heading back to the freeway. I don't want anything to disrupt me. Questions from my colleagues? I don't see any hands raised. No further questions. Great. Thank you very much, Shannon. Ordinance 600-2020 stands as approved as read. Let's sign it up. And I think that is all of our legislation. We covered everything else today, Madam Clerk. Thank you all very much. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.